Welcome back, guys, to Trails to Azure, where last episode, the final Crossbell patrol came to an end at St. Ursula Hospital with a visit to Ilya, as she sensed Risha waiting outside and imparted a few words before we hunted down the last Sumerian ore shard and made Lloyd his ultimate weapon. With our preparations completed, we boarded Wazi's Merkaba and took flight towards the Azure Tree. Being harried by the red constellation in the air, our group managed to break through and land within the Holy Precincts. Having just talked to our crew, we now have set off onto the long climb awaiting us.
Oh, these guys look like they reflect some crap. Okay, they don't reflect fizz. He's a man in the mirror. Yeah, there we go. A malicious enchanted item that wanders the world. Reflects art sent its way. Who'd have guessed? Doesn't reflect that, though. Oh, it does. Oops. I know that is an art charge, but it's still like a physical... I know it's my arts parrot. Wait, my team is all arts. This is terrible. What do I do? Oh no! We missed as well. The man in the mirror's preparing an art. Useless. So, you can't do much here. Oh, we do summon Divine Wolf. Sight, help me out. I need it. Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. They're casting heals. So is this better now? We did 0 damage to him. I'm very upset about this. I'm glad I gave you this weapon, Lloyd. You're gonna have to make use of it. And these guys actually give experience. Celestial Balm X. Congratulations on reaching the end. You've got a long road ahead of you still, but I know you can do it. Hey! Here's the final dungeon. I'm pretty sure. This is your brain after so many Trails games. Well, it's after one Trails game when you've been like 100 hours at it. Do you know what I mean? Alright, what's the stat again on how much dialogue Trails to Azure has? This is your brain after reading that much out loud on a stupidly hot day. Moongate, a magical conduit that links worlds. Bizarre phenomena occur when it opens up. Don't let it open up. This is what happens when you do a patrol. You talk for ages, and your current temperature is that, and your humidity as well, and you're just trapped in a room with that heat. In the UK, where you don't actually have like aircon or anything. Yeah, that's your brain on that. I know that's child's play for some countries, but I'm just gonna say it is a boiling thing. Hey, don't get angry at me. Stupid slow-moving statue thing. So we fought you recently in something else, Golden Statue. I might need more battle scopes at this rate. And the fire statue made with alchemy obstructs the casting of arts. We know that much. Can't block that, can you? I'll only point out the heat because when we started this, from the start of this session's patrol, 3 hours ago, it was 25 degrees in this room. Literally, from us playing and sitting in this room, the temperature has risen 5 degrees. And it's only going to get hotter. There's a crystal. Oh, I touched the crystals. Like, totally. Don't know what it does. Why not touch it? Nothing bad can happen, right? Yeah, it's fine. How does it rise so much? It's because the door's closed. Because I'm trying to, like, not be mean to my wife who also inhabits the house. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. No, he got angry at me, but then I ambushed him because I'm special. Fool. You think you can take me? I do need to scan you, though. A floating mutant life form that strikes foes with its heavy body. Master of potent arts. Dark Zone Beta. Trails to Azure has 56,579 lines of dialogue in Japanese. I remember seeing the thing about it being in comparison to like the Lord of the Rings trilogy and stuff before, if you know what I mean. Got a lot of monsters there. A death blow coming up. Let's continue to throw out these battle scopes, which I really should have actually bought loads more of. An alternate self from a separate dimension. Making contact results in total annihilation. What? Another one. What do you mean by that? Am I going to die now? I'm making contact. To be honest, we do know that Team Rush gets through most stuff. And the arts physical don't matter with Team Rush. Well, I don't like the name of the text on that. I don't like that at all. A quartz fragment, there we go. Her eyes whelmed with tears as she read. The first time Cyril had ever seen her cry, and while she was distracted, he took care to replace the letters in the chest and close it with due discretion. When she finished, it was all she could do to not keep her voice from shaking. Why? Why are you letting me read this? I guess we leave the dungeon again now and go the correct route. And go that way afterwards and dodge the enemies to get back here, but that's the... I called it right. The quartz fragment was further ahead. I didn't think I'd be missing chests. I probably have missed a chest. We need to leave the place. I've got a quartz fragment that needs checking out. Travels in the Sky SC had 716,401 words alone. All of the Lord of the Rings, including The Hobbit, is 576,459 words. Yeah. So, reading a Trails game, every line of dialogue for a Let's Play, it's an undertaking. Sometimes I do double streams where for 16 hours on a weekend, I just talk Trails. Think like I like get through a whole Lord of the Rings book or something. I don't know. I'm reading you novels worth. It's crazy. Especially when you do the dialogue patrols. If you miss the dialogue patrols, I wonder how much dialogue you miss. I have a data fragment. Data shushu. Page 3 of Information Terminal 03 on the Divine Child is decrypted. All data on Information Terminal 03 has been successfully analyzed. Would you like to check it immediately? Yes, please. On the Divine Child. Crossbell is the home of the G and the land of origin, as it is this very place where our sect inherited the Divine Child from our founders. The Divine Child represents the true God, and her existence is the symbol of G. Underneath the sun fort slumbers what appears to be a human girl in perpetuity. In reality, she awaits the moment of her awakening on top of the altar in the sun fort. For someone to live this long might be hard to believe for us mortals. However, I have seen her with my own eyes. Within the sphere, referred to as the sacred cradle, slumbers a little girl, a divine presence.
The sacred cradle was created by the predecessors of our sect, based on the techniques alchemists had learned by studying artifacts, meaning like those phenomena described as miracles, there is nothing miraculous to be found here. From her era of inception on, the divine child via Gnosis has been entrusted with knowledge, which can be best described as infinite. Once wisdom is achieved, the divine child will awaken and she will become the true god, D, and the souls and minds of all will be gathered within D, releasing the people from the goddess's spell. That is the prophecy left by the predecessors of D therefore G, and the ambition we shall fulfill. This data, could it be describing Kia before she began staying with you at the SSS building? Kia was created by the Croix family 500 years ago and given to the cult's founders to be their object of worship. They called her the Divine Child and placed her in the cradle of the Sunford until she could become the vessel for their new god. Yes, but the reality of the situation was kept away from the cult's founders. Little did they know they were being manipulated to the Croix family's ends. All the while, they spent centuries chasing the fantasy of a true god. It almost makes you pity them. Their sins were too great. I can't bring myself to feel sorry for them, no matter how pathetic they were. The cult may have its transgressions, but that doesn't make Kia any less of a victim in this. Even if she was created by the Croix family to fulfill their delusional ambitions, even if she does possess miraculous power and terrifying inhuman abilities, it doesn't matter. None of that is her fault. The night she woke up at the auction, she was just a normal little girl, one who never asked for any of this. Before then, she'd been locked inside the cradle for hundreds of years, afraid and alone. And now, Maria Bell and Mr. Grimwood are trying to exploit her. Damn straight, doesn't matter how they try to spin it. We ain't gonna let them off the hook for what they're putting Keto through. Well, with this, all of the cult's data has been successfully analyzed. I don't know all the details of the operation you're currently planning, but I do know as well as anyone just how much Kia means to each of you. I'm sure you'll do everything in your power to bring her home. Don't forget, you have me and all the rest of your allies cheering you on. Thanks, Rebecca. That means a lot. I promise that we're gonna get Kia back, no matter what. We're gonna fight for a future where every child in Crossbell can smile, her included. Terminal diagnosis. Not enough dialogue there, though. Right, so we've now done all the terminals and seen what Joachim Günther had to say. Because we're in a dungeon now, though, it does give us the beautiful opportunity of actually being able to speak freely about the game and stuff, because there's less dialogue for me to read, whereas normally in Trails I'm so locked into dialogue that I have to, like, wait to get the dialogue done before I can acknowledge stuff in chat, etc. Do you know what I mean? For that is the Let's Play style. Always progressing further forward. Exploration, however, that allows us to be a little freer, doesn't it? So let's dodge the enemies we saw. Ah! Which might be easier said than done. And keep on keeping on. Through every enemy we therefore see. D therefore G. And we actually do knock you back. Oh wait, we've got a thingy. That should break through everyone. Yeah, the people who translate Trells games, man, it's an undertaking. That's a lot of text they've got to get through. Localizing these games isn't easy. But thanks to, of course, the duology finally coming out, the future of Trails in the West is at least very bright at this point. Can't believe Keeper's only level 3 still. Because they will probably be getting... Oh god. Getting localized at a much brisker pace from here on out for the rest of the saga. As I understand it, with the Crossbell duology coming out over here, you're not allowed to cast. Don't let it open up. I mean, actually, it should be dead no matter what, because we got this. The sales of these two games have actually done better
in the West than they expected, as I understand it. For Falcom. Ahead of projections, so that's pretty good. Randy reaches level 100. So there's going to be much better impetus once... Because you've got to admit that, and this is the thing about these older style and older look Trails games, and it always will be, there will be people that are less likely to jump in and want to try them out, even if they are the start of the story on the basics of their graphics. Some people can't deal with graphics that are look olden, or, dare I say it, 30 frames per second. There are a lot of people who won't touch a game on these bases. When they start to return to the more modern stuff, their sales will probably be a lot nicer for them. That's what they're expecting anyway. Me? I love this graphical style. I was looking forward to Crossbell Duology so much. After playing through Skies, I was just like, yeah. I don't need fancy normal graphics to be like showing me these characters in great detail. These character models and pictures are good enough when the thing about Trails game is the long overarching story that's carrying it. That's the goal here. These guys are very weak to wind spells. They're just very weak. I think we're just quite strong with certain people, to be honest. I also like the fact that the Crossbell Duology in particular is in the perfect state to be put out on the Switch in perfection. That's great too. And art style and decisions like this always mean more than graphics. The endless debate that always rages. Geo can't do anything. Still wondering how I proceed from here. Because Geo can't actually hurt these guys because all the stuff is magic attacks. It's very irritating. She can summon Zeit. But Zeit won't often always attack. With an actual physical attack. We'll leave one alive, see what happens. I think that's an actual attack. Nom nom. I can't believe after beating Alien Road that these enemies still give experience. How much would they be given if I hadn't? That's the real question, isn't it? And while this game is, of course, without speaking of further games that I haven't played, is like, what is it? Six titles off of the current... No, wait a second. 7 titles away from the current, title. As we get Sepith times 200 of each. I appreciate art style a lot. I appreciate this chibi look. Quick, Aloy, we have to get to the center of the Great Tree of Origins before... Oh, wait, sorry, wrong tree. Yep. We played that game too. Go check out my East playlist, yeah. Falcom fan here, obviously. If you respect trails, you should respect the east.
一気に落とすよ。
That's how it works. At least there's something here that Tio can hit. Oh, no, never mind. Tio can't hit.
行くよ。
Alright, so I could hit with a spell.
エニグマ鼓動それ
俺の番だな。やっ
Bonk, bonk.
みんな大丈夫か。
And we got Nayuta. Boundless Trails out later this year as well. A middle ground between East and Trails 2.
そこやっ
So many games, so little time.
よーし、一気に行くぞ。
いいね
やっで。
私の
There's
番
only 3 Trails coming out this year. And 3 Trails games coming out in,
お願い
what
し
is
ま
it?
すわかった
12 months.
いいね。
4 Trails games coming out in 12 months. My goodness. Though, 1 not so Trails.
先に行きましょう
The pace has jumped up. Let's put it that way. The pace has increased. So should ours as we try to get through this dungeon.
そこやっ
Look you. I have a motto of fighting everything.
お願いです
えい。
今だわみんな行く
Sure,
わよ
clearly not enough. They have the local community.
了解。
Yeah, but
さあ先を急ぎましょう
local minorities are those that are often so ridiculously. Oh, a challenge chest. Entrenched in the game that sometimes they can't see the full forest for the trees, is how I'd put it. 4 games in a year is insane. It's a good pullover for one series. Here come the monsters! And I'm sure it will speed up after that, and we'll catch up to Japan's releases in time. We're not going to be that far behind forever. I dread this time. I'm not joking. I actually dread this time. Because the way I see it, I should probably use Wazi here. Is once we catch up with Japanese releases and get through all the Shell series, we'll then be having to wait again. No! In this weirdest way, I quite like knowing that there's more games to be translated and more games to come. Versus,
私の番ね
versus knowing I've got nothing to look forward to. Do you get me? Oh yeah, you do that.
さて
Didn't mean to you, but you do that.
ドライブ開始さてとエニグマ駆動やあ
行くぞ。
Can you win, Lloyd the Bannings?
えいと。
Oh, what?
守りたいこのクロスベルを
But I guess being like with the series being completely up to date, it has the nice thing of people not just trying to spoil you about games all the time, doesn't it? A Rift Gem. These 2 games have been a big part of my life for 5 years. I'm not certain what future projects I'll take part in, but it's going to be hard to surpass the satisfaction I feel for these 2. JJL. So we're getting messages from the original Geo-France translation team, yeah? From this point onwards. Rift Gem. Cancels enemy arts and crafts with 90% success rate. I think you've got the impede on. No one else has. So I'll give that to you, Randy, just in case we have you in. Should probably look to upgrade some more of your stuff, to be honest. It's not like you're bad anyway, though.
Yosh, 一気に行くぞ。
And once we're all up to date, at least the two sides of... I mean, there's multiple sides to any fandom, right? But at least they can be the warring states of those who have only played official releases and those who've gone ahead with, like, overlays and stuff. Can finally be at harmony, right? The day where Trails fans, or... See, I don't even see myself as a Trails fan. More the fact that I'm like, yeah, I really like Nihon Falcom games. I really like East and Trails. So identifying myself as a Trails fan feels like I'm being a bit bad towards East. Do you know what I mean? I like both their projects. But at least like the battle lines, everyone can be just like, oh, okay, we're all the same point now. The wars will always rage between those who haven't played it in order because it's easier to jump in on newer titles with newer graphics, but that's another thing. I'm definitely in the way that... I'm definitely in the camp of whatever brings you into play Trails is the best way. Whatever's best for you. And if a game might send you back to play more games, the older games, to get the full scope of the story, that's excellent.
チャンスです。皆さん、お願いします。
Really wasn't expecting. Just randomly thinking there, like that's supposed to... I really wasn't expecting... People have been very respectful for this playthrough, they have. But I have to also be respectful to myself as well, do you know what I mean? Because like, for example, of course, I know a Falcom subreddit, and now Twitter has identified me as a Trails fan. So what I mean by this is that Twitter is constantly sending me Trails content. And it won't stop. I haven't been posting anything. It's just decided, like, on its algorithm that, oh, he likes Trails. Probably because streams got tweeted. So that's a bit worrying about what I might receive. At the moment, though, it does seem to be, like, giving me stuff about Zero, which is fine. Because, of course, I play Zero. Ah. Elephant. Elephant head. Before you, Tab? It's just whenever I boot it up. It's just the home one, I think. Maybe I haven't really mastered Twitter because Twitter itself is an abomination, but that's my opinion. So I've like... Even though I figure things out, no one tries to be like, have you figured it out yet? But even then, like, even if you figure things out, like, knowing for quite a long time that Ian Grimwood was involved with everything, obviously, you still get the whole, when it's like he just, that's how he revealed himself? Like, I wasn't expecting Deirdre to be at the top of Orcus Tower. And for him to be sold out in that fashion. I expected the Ion to be there. I wasn't expecting Deirdre to be there, and then just Ian to be like, well, oh crap, I'm taking over now. Well, okay. Story has to have that kind of stuff. Exceeds your expectation a little bit. It actually made you feel bad for Deirdre. Oh man, I'll just get my free successful ambush then. It's easier that way. You guys have a bit more HP after all. I spark dying that one
駆動
and death spiral the other one.
エニグマ駆動
僕の番か
I think that should be enough. Career is better than terminal use, but that's not saying a dumpster fire is better than a really smelly bin. Well, yeah, but it's like all social media is that. As soon as it went from here's a place you can gather to here's a place we can make money out of you
私の番です
and politically change you and until everything else realized the use of
これ
social
で一
media.
安心です
Ain't that a thing? 101. EP charge free. 54 out of 61. Cyril set the chest in her palms. The newest letter nestled between them and the chest bottom. He then leaned just so their foreheads barely touched. Eyes closed, he whispered, "Take care, Genevieve." Dieter actually wanted what was best for Crossbell, even if what he went about it was, yeah. Well, that's the thing of Trails. I guess it's also a thing of a lot of modern stories in gaming and TV, etc. The villains have to be layered now. There's no such thing as true evil, and to some that is like for a lot of people unsatisfying now, which is interesting because it just shows you like some people don't like a bit of nuance. But then, is it nuance if it's in everything? It's a bit more refreshing nowadays, isn't it, to have a true evil villain? Isn't it? It's to me some bit when you actually go, oh, he's actually a dick. No mitigating circumstances.
OK です分かったわ
But Trails is a very layered game. It's very political.
悪いな先に行かせてもらうよ
It has to show motivations and reasons.
おっしゃ
As Randy's Warcry has been upgraded to Warcry 2. What does that even mean? Well, Yochim had nothing speaking for him. Actually, yeah, fair. Warcry 2. CP plus 150 for 70% HP. So it was 30 for 60. Wasn't it before? Now you could just spam his stuff.
Yosh 一気に行くぞ
OK です
There's a lot going on in the world of Trails that isn't... that we can get like a feeling for, is how I put it, about how characters stand. But the alignment of them being our opposition doesn't necessarily make them evil, because to decide on a stance such as evil or good, you have to find out what the end goal really is. And then you could say like,
まあまあだったねナイスファイト
well, they sacrificed these people, and these people died for this reason and that reason of what they did, but their end goal might be great, and it's just like, Trails is complicated like that. Like, our villains here seem to want to protect Crossbell or do something to the point. It seems like the men that like aren't of the constellation, etc. here are motivated by loss and grief. Which is the most obvious thing from the graveyard. They've had an injustice happen to
制
them.
圧完了次に行こうか
And now they're trying to protect what's left or do something to right injustice. It's just that kind of stuff. We need to find out exactly what's going on by confronting them now. Lloyd ends up adopting Kia. Does that make him a detective? Wiseman and me also felt pure evil. His reason was pure madness. Yeah, but to be honest, you want to start off with a villain like that. As well.
みんなチャンスよ OK です
I think at some points you want to play it safe and then you want to get into the nuance a little bit later too.
そこ
I think Wazzy will get him.
私の番です。ドライブ開
I'm
始。
sure that'll do good damage still, even if it's a lower tier spell. It'll do quite a nice amount to the guy.
やあ
And should leave it in a killable amount for us, I'd have thought.
僕の番か。
Uh-oh. Yeah, yeah.
出直してきなよ。
There's a lot of interesting factions in Trails, and a lot of interesting going on, but... Most of the time... Hello? Is it right for us to classify everything as enemies versus opposition? Is always the question I think you have to ask. Hi!